Have you ever caught yourself thinking, is God really with me? Does he truly care? And what if my faith isn't enough? Doubt has a way of creeping in during our most vulnerable moments. It comes uninvited, like an insistent whisper, making us question everything, our decisions, our prayers, even God's presence. And maybe that's where you are right now, carrying this heavy weight in your heart. You're trying to believe, but you keep asking yourself, what if things go wrong? What if I'm alone? Doubt isn't just the enemy of faith, it's also a reflection of our humanity. At some point, we've all felt like this. But you know what? God doesn't turn away from us when we doubt. He isn't shocked by our uncertainties. Instead, he invites us to bring them closer to him. Because faith isn't the absence of doubt. Faith is choosing to trust, even when doubt tries to take over. Doubts. We don't like to admit that we have them, but deep down, they're there. And when they show up, they bring a certain heaviness, a feeling that something is wrong with us, as if God might judge us for questioning. But is doubt really the opposite of faith? Does doubting sometimes mean that your faith isn't strong enough? Let's talk about faith. Hebrews 11:1 says, "Now faith is the confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." It's a beautiful definition, but in practice, it's not always that simple, is it? Having faith means believing, even when we can't see or feel anything. But what about when what we hope for seems impossible, or when the circumstances around us scream otherwise? You're not alone in feeling this way. The Bible is full of examples of people who doubted, yet God didn't reject them for it. Take Thomas, for instance. He walked with Jesus, witnessed the miracles, and heard his teachings. Yet when the other disciples told him Jesus had risen, Thomas couldn't believe it. He needed to see it with his own eyes, to touch the nail scars, to truly believe. And what did Jesus do? He didn't push Thomas away or scold him harshly. Instead, he said, "Put your finger here. See my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." John 20:27. Jesus invited Thomas to bring his doubts closer, and through that moment, Thomas's faith grew stronger. Or think about Sarah, Abraham's wife. When the angel of the Lord said she would have a child in her old age, what did she do? She laughed. She thought it was impossible, as if to say, "There's no way this could happen." She doubted. Yet, God, in His grace, fulfilled the promise, despite her initial disbelief. These stories remind me that doubt isn't a failure of faith. It's part of being human. And God isn't up there with crossed arms, waiting for us to have perfect faith all the time. He understands us. He knows how hard it is to trust when everything around us feels like it's falling apart. In our everyday lives, doubts don't only arise in big moments like those of Thomas or Sarah. They creep into the smaller but equally challenging situations, like when you pray for healing, and it doesn't come. Or when you're struggling to pay the bills at the end of the month, and you wonder, will God really help me this time? Maybe you've asked yourself something like this. Does God hear my prayers? Does He see me right now? And what if things don't work out? These questions, they're human. But here's the amazing thing. God doesn't pull away from us when we doubt. He doesn't turn His face in disappointment. Instead, He invites us to bring our questions and uncertainties to Him. So the real question is, what do we do with doubt? Because doubt has two possible paths. It can either pull us away from God, making us focus solely on the problem, or it can draw us closer, helping us rely on Him even more. Think about what happened with Thomas. He didn't stay isolated with his doubt, he expressed it, and Jesus revealed Himself in a way that transformed him. When Thomas touched Jesus' scars, his doubt turned into an even deeper faith. And sometimes, we need to do the same. Bring our doubts to God, ask Him to reveal Himself, and trust that He'll meet us where we are. But I know, it's not easy. When you're in the middle of doubt, it can feel like you're stuck in a loop. It's like being in a dark room, searching for the door, but not finding it. Do you feel like that? Like your mind is trapped in a cycle of what-ifs? In those moments, I want to remind you of something. God doesn't require you to have all the answers. He doesn't expect you to be unshakable. Faith isn't about pretending you never feel fear or doubt. Faith is about taking the next step, even when you're unsure where it will lead. And here's the thing. God can use even our doubts to strengthen us. Look at Sarah, who laughed at God's promise. He didn't reject her. He surprised her. And look at Thomas, who needed to touch to believe. Jesus didn't just let him touch, but turned his doubt into a powerful testimony. So if you're carrying doubts right now, let me tell you this. They don't make you any less loved by God. They don't make you unworthy or small. They simply show that you're human, and God understands that better than anyone else. But maybe it's time to make a choice, a simple but life-changing one. You can keep feeding your doubts, or you can choose to bring them to God. To ask your questions, yes, but also to trust. Because when you do that, when you surrender your uncertainty to Him, you create space for Him to reveal Himself in ways you never imagined. Doubt isn't the end of faith. In fact, it can be the beginning of something deeper, something stronger. All it takes is one step forward, no matter how small, because God is here, waiting to take your hand. Maybe you're wondering, but how do I do this? How do I deal with my doubts without feeling guilty? And that guilt, it's heavy, isn't it? We think that doubting means we're failing, that God will judge us or turn away from us. But I want to tell you something. God isn't surprised by your doubts. He already knows your thoughts, your struggles, and He doesn't love you any less because of them. Doubt, in fact, can be the starting point for a stronger faith. What matters is what you do with it. You can let it pull you away from God, or you can use this moment to draw closer to Him. That's the key. Don't feed your doubts, but strengthen your faith through them. Think about what Jesus did with Thomas. He didn't condemn him for questioning. Instead, He encouraged Thomas to come closer, to touch the scars. Jesus said, "Stop doubting and believe." That's what we need to do. Not beat ourselves up for doubting, but use those doubts as an opportunity to trust God more deeply. But here's something important. God is always ready to meet you where you are, but sometimes it takes that first step, however small, from you. He loves you. He wants to help you, but it's up to you to open your heart, present your doubts, and ask Him to strengthen your faith. So here's a practical challenge for you. The next time doubt arises, and it will, don't ignore it, but also don't feed it. Talk to God. Be honest. Tell Him exactly how you feel. Share your questions and uncertainties, and ask Him to show you His presence. Then, trust. Wait. Because God won't leave you without an answer. He will strengthen your faith, and through that, you'll discover that He's been with you all along. Doubt can be a persistent companion, can't it? It shows up uninvited, takes up space, and leaves us feeling lost. But let me ask you this. What do you do when doubt appears? Do you let it grow, filling your mind with what-ifs? Or do you do something different, something that could transform this moment? Doubt is like a seed. You decide what will grow, doubt or faith. Feeding doubt is easy. It thrives on our fears, our need for control, and our unanswered questions. But feeding faith takes a choice. It's you saying, "God, I don't understand, but I'm here. I want to trust." You see, God doesn't expect you to have all the answers. He simply wants you to come closer, to share your heart with Him, including your doubts. And He doesn't pull away because of them. Instead, He calls you nearer. The truth is, God is always ready to hear you, to welcome you. He wants you to seek Him, to trust Him enough to bring your uncertainties to Him. Just as He did with Thomas, God calls you to come closer. He doesn't push you away. He doesn't reject you. He says, "Come, touch, feel, trust." So I want to encourage you to try something different. The next time doubt creeps in, don't ignore it, but don't let it take over either. Open your heart to God in an honest conversation. Even if you don't have the perfect words, that's okay. He understands. And that's enough. Because this is how faith grows. When we choose to trust, even in the midst of uncertainty. And You're not alone in this. God is always there, ready to strengthen you and walk beside you. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. Psalm 56:3.